raw dog and audio.
I was smoking raw dog and audio.
That's a hell of a way to put that.
Yes.
Tell me I'm wrong. Look me in my eyes and tell me I'm wrong, and I won't say it. But that's what's happening.
I can't. I literally can't. So here we are.
You made
We certainly
choices,
are here.
Kit. You made choices. Choices that will now be immortalized in the VOD forever.
Yay.
You heard it here first, folks.
Rock dog in the audio.
This is the energy we're coming in tonight. I think it's gonna be
It's gonna be a good
time.
one. It's gonna be normal. Normal time. Normal tea party. It's fine.
I mean, much like last night, you are missing the most normal person.
It's true.
That's
But
more
you would've been
believable here than in Redacted.
Alex, you're shaking your head. You disagree.
I'm the most normal person here. I always am.
Babe, real quick. I might be the most normal person here.
You are just a little guy. That's true.
I am just a little guy. That's the thing about it.
No, actually, I vote for you, Elise.
Mhm.
Yes, correct.
Really?
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
For normal or for little guy?
Both.
Normal little guy.
I'm just
Normal
a
little guy.
Normal little guy.
I like how Rhiannon's name was never thrown into the mix.
She's too stressed.
Yeah, no.
Too stressed. Too tense.
Rihanna's too like badass to be like just a little guy, right?
Oh,
I agree.
not a little
Sorry,
guy.
I was going to say something about the events of last season, and then I was going to say something about the events of last season and the atrocities that all three of you committed. And the fact that Rhiannon committed less atrocities than the two of you.
Is that true?
I believe 0 atrocities were committed on my part.
I think karma happened. I don't know what atrocities.
Yeah, atrocity.
Yes.
I don't know.
What Lady Carewood said.
Yes. Karma. No atrocities, only karma.
My
No
dad didn't know karma until she bit him in the fucking face. But hey,
Incredible.
Yeah, sweet girl.
We almost had a pet on screen.
Almost. She's like
Tragic.
right here. I could scoop, but
that's
she's
okay.
gonna claw.
I was about to ask you, Alex, if we were going to get a fit sighting, and then I realized that I meant to say him.
right here, my guy. Right here, my guy.
Consider him cited.
Right, cited. Finn is currently watching Anne play Assassin's Creed, and I think he's far more interested in that than being scooped by me. So,
you know what? I love that for him, though.
He's so
I
real
do too.
for that, you know?
He's learning so much history. It's great.
I feel like he already knows a lot with who his parents are, but
He does, but he's a visual learner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Bet.
It's a sweet girl.
Baby.
Say hi, baby.
Hi, baby.
Are you making use of your one brain cell this evening, my dear?
I don't actually know that she has it. Her brother might have it.
Her brother might have it? Okay.
He's gone, so... Oh, good, she's settled.
She's like, please, mother, I would like the brain cell back. Please. No.
You gotta share.
And so I think with that, let us dive into our intro. So, well, not our intro, our pre-intro intro. If you've never been with us before, we do usually start like this. We are live from the apocalypse, and we enjoy rambles and rants. We probably have had even more of a rant were Raph with us tonight. They are not, but we know that is for a good reason and cannot wait for them to return in 2 weeks. At Live for the Apocalypse, we are a not-for-profit TTRPG studio that raises money for progressive causes and aid organizations through actual play streams and podcasts. Currently, we are raising money for Rainbow Railroad, the Canadian branch. They are an organization that help queer people, and especially in this day and age, trans people, get to safer locations out of unsafe ones. Right now, the exchange rate is working in our favor, so at any point, you can hit the donate button. If you're on a browser, that is where the subscribe button would usually be. And you can put money in. Your dollar will go even further, and we love that. for the organization that we platform. We are over halfway to our goal, and we are really hoping to close that out by the end of the year. If you do donate, the McElroy brothers will yell specifically at me. So if I am in an intense moment or doing some sort of monologue, that is a great time to do that. So I lose my place and lose my focus and have no idea what I need to do to get back on track. Sometimes the cast will scream along. That varies, so don't count on it. But there you have it. If you are on mobile, you cannot find the donate button. You can, however, click !donate, and the link will pop up and you can donate that way. You can subscribe. I know Alex is going to be really sad to be reminded of that. We cannot remove the button. We have just hidden it. So if you try hard enough, you can track it down. But please be aware that if you do that, if you choose to use your money on that rather than donating directly to Rainbow Railroad, beloved Dimension 20 Dungeon Master Brennan Lee Mulligan will kill one dog for every month that you have been subscribed. And there aren't a lot of DeVilliers left, so you may not want to do that. There were a couple of weeks this month and last where like 40 to 60 dogs were killed in a single week.
Disgusting.
Horrifying.
I'm
Tragic.
running out of fiancés.
I keep having to body jump. It's terrible.
It's awful.
Think of Fitz and Elise.
Just when you get used to the joints in this body and the bones, then whoop,
Right?
you're out. Gotta find a new one.
Just get shunted off.
That explains so much about Fitz.
Doesn't it,
Yeah,
though?
actually.
And so I think with that, I have gone through my housekeeping, which is the perfect time to then have my cast remind you of who they are, where you can find them online, who they are playing, and what playbook they are using. I think in sharp contrast to Table 1, we actually have the three of you whose playbooks did not change between seasons.
Original flavor.
By the by, this is a season of Secrets and Shadows. Forgot to throw that in. This is our Regency-flavored Monsterhearts game, and
2 seasons, 2 shadows. It's all about family.
I don't know what we're going to call a third season were that to be greenlit.
Edinburgh
Who
Drift.
knows?
London Drift.
London
I don't know.
Drift.
We're going to Scotland?
Yeah, we're going north, guys. It's gonna be fine.
In the
Cause
carriage.
problems over there.
You know what? I now have a plot in my mind, so I'm going to bookmark that. Well, you know, we have you
Get down,
go
write it
through
down.
intros. So, Kit, you are up first.
That's me. Hi. Despite the new hair, I'm still Kit. You can find me still places on the internet at KitRollCause, same way it's spelled down here. Mostly just on Twitter. Everywhere else, just at KitRoll. And tonight, I will be back at it again as Miss Elise Clarendon. Everyone's favorite, just a little guy, not a vampire. Don't worry about it.
I don't know that you can say just a little guy after what happened to the DeVilliers family.
I don't know how that disqualifies me from being a little guy, JD, if I'm honest with you.
If Raph were here, I would have Raph make a poll, and then we could figure that out.
I was being a supportive girlfriend.
It's very important.
That's true.
That's pretty little guy of me, if I'm honest.
You do make a compelling point.
I do make a compelling point. Thank you, JD.
I think speaking of that, let us move to your now not just boyfriend, now fiance.
Hi. I'd like to start this public service announcement by saying that Horatio de Villiers was a bitch and he had it coming. I am Alex. I'm playing Captain Fitzgerald de Villiers, one of the last of the de Villiers, for a number of reasons, some of which are my fault, the rest of which are Raph's fault, I think. Well, yeah, I'll talk about things at the end. I don't want you to find me on the internet, but if you do, there's a thing about where I am. You can find me on the internet. It's fine. I don't post a lot. It's just dog pics and witticisms, and they're not that witty. What playbook am I? Normal guy, just like Elise. normal guy. Not little, just a guy. But if you wanted to like put a label on things, werewolf, but could be
But
their
only
wolf.
if we wanted to.
Yeah. Like if you're into that.
Incredible. And last but not least,
Well, you're that's okay. Elise is allowed.
we do allow that from Elise. I mean, the couple that slays together stays together. That is the name of this entire table.
That's true. It's so sweet.
And Steph, you do not have your boyfriend here tonight.
My other
but-
half. No, Carmen Deloso is otherwise occupied, but that's fine. I am playing Rhiannon Serena Carewood, Duchess of Astalot. She inherited that title after the sudden tragic demise of her father. It's so sad. Anyway, we're moving on with our life. She's having a time, isn't she always? So stressed, handling it, so concerned. But, it's going to be a normal tea party with some normal people, and it's going to be normal conversations.
I agree. It's going to be a real normal night.
Mm-hmm.
Really normal.
I just want to know what we're going to do without Carmen's serial killer trinkets being sent.
Languished, I guess.
We will languish.
Suffer.
Carmen, we miss you.
Carmen, come back.
I mean, we may at least see those trinkets tonight, so there is that. They are here in spirit.
Good. Okay.
And I think with that, we are going to jump
Yeah, Justin, fucking grip it and rip it, baby.
right
Slop
into
that
an
down,
amazing
dude.
donation
Yeah, dude.
from
Crack one for the
JT.
big boy.
Ah!
One day we will synchronize our screaming. One day.
So at some point.
It's fine. We'll fix it in post.
Yeah. Just send JD some audios of screams.
Okay,
Yeah.
on it.
Everybody get your backup screen files over to JD.
Stat.
Just put those in the Google Drive. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be totally fine. And so, we are going to dive right in. We have had, an interesting past few days. Before that, a bit of a stretch of time where many of you were following up on business, things like that.
What a lovely day!
Thank you, readers. Welcome. We are just beginning our first episode of Table 2 for our Regency-flavored Monsterhearts game, second season of Secrets and Shadows. So you have not missed anything. We are diving right into the action. It has been a few days since the autumnal ball. And these days have been fairly quiet. Nothing has really gotten shaken up, but it still feels like the city is holding its breath. And where we start in the early hours of dawn. And unlike last time, we do not start in darkness. We start with that orange glow on the horizon. The air is cool and crisp. The leaves that have fallen from the trees skitter across the pavement as the wind catches them. And in this early morning time, a fog hangs heavy, obscuring the features of buildings and the few faces of those who are moving around at this hour. People continue to move quickly from place to place, not wanting to be out in the broader area for any longer than they have to. The tension is still there. People still clutch pouches of salt in their pockets. They clutch iron. They clutch silver. They hold on to items they believe will protect them from the supernatural war that seems to be brewing in the background. That said, the tension is now perhaps different since the Autumn Court's ascension those few days ago, when the power from the Spring Court was transferred over to them. We move through the city and we pause on a nondescript townhouse, one that could belong to anyone, nothing to set it apart from the others around it. And then we move through the window pane and inside. And inside, it is awash with color. Flowers bloom everywhere. The floor is coated in or perhaps made of grass. And there is a glowing warmth just radiating through, and that could be from orbs of light, almost miniature suns, that hang in various places around the room. It could also just be the warmth of summer, a sharp contrast to the chill in the air outside that is not just that taste of autumn, but the bite of winter that is still mixed in. But in here, it's different because here we are in the heart of summer in a way that we have not yet had the opportunity to experience because summer did not arrive this year. This space, while it is fey in nature, is different than the ones that we've seen so far held by the other courts. This is not the fey residence where we saw the emergence of spring and then the transition to autumn. This is not the winter court overtaking the Connolly residence and making it their own, pushing back against nature itself and sending everything in that vicinity into a deep freeze. This is but a pocket of the power of the summer court and of Princess Delphine, who sits in the midst of it with Prince Xavier of the Spring Court by her side. Her personal guard, Foxglove, stands impassively in the background, and despite the fact that Foxglove is a very difficult person to miss, with her red hair and starkly white skin, it is somehow easy to lose track of them against the backdrop of flowers that seem to mimic their colors perfectly. Princess Delphine runs her fingers through her purple hair, and lilac blossoms float from the strands, or perhaps her hands themselves in response to the movement before they fall to the floor. There is an aura of anxiety around her, and Prince Xavier, who is out of the varying levels of thorned armor that he's been wearing, is the one who finally breaks the silence. Delphine, we knew this outcome was likely. And Princess Delphine sighs and says, I know, but it does change things, doesn't it? Her worry is different than Prince Xavier's, who sounds as steady and calm as he says, it may. We'll have to see who replaces her, and then we will have to see what that means. Princess Delphine shakes her head and says, everything hinges on this, and you know it. We can't do this without her. Prince Xavier reaches over and covers Delphine's hand with his own. She gazes down at their hands, takes in a slow, measured breath, and then looks back up to meet his eyes. And his voice is exceedingly gentle as he says, it will work out, Delphine. I promise you that. She shakes her head and pulls her hand away. You can't promise that. You shouldn't promise that, Xavier. You know what words mean between us. And he holds her gaze and simply says, I know. The two of them stare at each other, lean towards each other. And then the moment is broken as King Nightshade steps into the room and Xavier and Delphine quickly move away from each other just about as far as they can get without actually standing. It is evident as we look that King Nightshade's piercing red eyes caught every moment of this, but he does not comment on it. He just studies his daughter. And then clarifies to her. The union between our court and Autumn still stands. I know this news is distressing and unfortunate, but it does not change our plans. Princess Delphine does not quite meet her father's gaze as she says, Of course, father. Then, are you now ready for me? King Nightshade nods, and Prince Xavier stands and bows to him, clearly preparing to take his leave, which is not interrupted, though there is a moment where Princess Delphine raises her hand towards him. Her lips part the slightest bit, as though she's about to say something, but before she can, Xavier, who does not look back, is gone, and it is just her and her father. King Nightshade, having witnessed all of this, sighs. You are playing a dangerous game, my girl. Princess Delphine straightens her shoulders, and her vibrantly blue eyes turn to steel as her entire demeanor changes. I have no idea what you mean, father. Shall we? It is now his turn to hold back a reaction. His lips pursed for a long moment before he says, Of course. Ambrosia is ready to see you. And I am ready to see them. She rises to her feet. Let us see what the new plan is, now that Octavia is Wintire's exile. And that is where we are going to leave the summer court. We are going to move to the rest of the city. In fact, we are going to move over to the Carewood estate, where Rhiannon is preparing for visitors. Rhiannon,
Mm-hmm.
now that you have had the chance to be the Duchess of the estate for some time, what does the Carewood estate look like as autumn is coming? Or, well, here, to be more accurate.
Think the vines are still growing along the facade. They're not strictly keeping to the edges of the structure. Some tendrils have wound their way across to reach the nearby windows. The gardens in the back are not as tightly maintained and clipped. There is some overgrowth, but in a way that feels natural and not just neglected. It feels more unrestrained in a way. And there's been some changes in decoration in the house. Some rooms seem more airy and bright. Her father's study has been redone, completely redecorated. She doesn't use it. It's there. But it is easier to breathe in her home now. There is a lightness that has not been there before.
And Rhiannon, you have had Well, depending on your mother and, of course, servants in the house, I was going to say you have had some time kind of purely to yourself, but with that, I am more referencing the fact that Mr. Carmen Deloso, who continues to spend a lot of time there, had let you know that they would be going out with their brother, Damien, to spend some time on this day. What are you doing as you prepare for the arrival of Captain de Villiers and his fiancée, Elise Clarendon?
She is finding anything she can do to keep busy, though at this point, given how thorough the servants are, it's pretty much she's just finding things to fuss with, like just adjusting this plant or this lamp or these curtains, and her personal maid Noelle is very much kind of trailing after her and just assuring her things in. But Rhiannon very much is having trouble keeping still for a variety of reasons, and she has not interacted much with Fitz since their uh, exchanges the past season, and she is not familiar with Elise, and she is very concerned about Carmen, but she encouraged him to go out with his brother. She of course wants them to spend time together, but it also was convenient for him to go out because she was able to invite them over to talk about some things in his absence. And I think that is also making her a little more stressed too, because she's like, I didn't tell him, but I hope he's not going to be mad, but it's fine. It's going to be a normal time. She just cannot keep still.
And I'm going to actually throw it out to you.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you had sent invitations to Captain de Villiers and Miss Elise Clarendon. Would we like the recipients to read them? Or would we like you to read them, Rhiannon?
Oh, the recipients can read them. They were their letters.
Then I would like to invite Captain de Villiers to share the invitation that he received.
Okay. I assume this came to the estate. But the letter is sealed in a deep green wax with the Carewood family crest. There is a cluster of red azaleas and white verbena tied together with a gold ribbon. Inside, the letter is bordered with a pattern of vines. Dear Fitz, I wish to offer my congratulations on your engagement to the lovely Miss Clarendon. We didn't have much time to talk at the autumn ball, but I would be honored if you would both come to my afternoon tea. You would both come to afternoon tea at my home. I know this likely will be awkward given our past, and I apologize for that, but I have a growing concern in my life that I hope you and Miss Clarendon could help me with, or at least hear me out on. And I would like to meet the lady who is fortunate enough to win your heart. Your friend, Rhiannon Serena Carewood. P.S. My condolences on the loss of your family. I hope you found the freedom you desired. Fitz did send a response.
Yes, the response was, I have it here. See you then, F. She's fine. She's fine.
To be clear, he included a date and a time.
Oh yeah, it's
You know,
fine.
It was
Short, sweet, to the
proactive.
point. Yep.
Yeah.
Direct. We love direct communication.
It's efficient.
Rhiannon, what was your reaction when you received that response from Fitz?
She wasn't sure what response she was going to get because it had been some time. So she was going through different scenarios of like, he could say no, he could politely refuse, he could have any number of excuses, he could say yes, and it'll be fine. And I don't think she was expecting it to be so short and just cool. So that did throw her a bit, and she definitely spent some time kind of just rereading the sentence. It's like, is that see you then positive, see you then trepidatious, see you then, is this going to be awkward? What did he mean by that? No, we're just not going to overthink it because that's how we spiral. So it's he will be here, she will be here, everything will be here, and it'll be fine.
Absolutely incredible.
She's doing great.
I do have one last question for you, Rhiannon, before we pan over to the De Villiers estate and take a few moments with our friends Fitz and Elise before they head out to meet with you. But
Mhm.
what does the space in your backyard where you performed the ritual on Carmen and Damien look like?
Cool question. Yeah, she's spent a lot of time out there. She's been going through the steps of the ritual, trying to pinpoint exactly where it fell apart and trying to like cross reference if it was here, then how was an outside influence able to interfere without me noticing? And with all the experiments she'd done, she couldn't get a clear, definitive read on what that influence might have been just because she was not the only one in the ritual. Abigail and Octavia had offered their power, so it did kind of, the intensity of it with the spell kind of overshadowed anything. So she hadn't been able to pinpoint what could have interfered, which has been frustrating for her. So she has the space on the patio where it was done, she is likely smudged with lots of previous chalk from different patterns, different triangulations she's been trying to make. It has been very much cleared off. Like any planters that were nearby have been pushed aside. It is very much, it stands out as very like abnormally empty. Even if the chalk wasn't there, it would be like there's something about this space that is she has set aside for some reason.
And I think one thing you've noticed is that you have to keep clearing it. There is moss. There are different plants that you're pretty sure are weeds, though they have never looked like anything you are familiar with. There is something about them that is wrong, off, like you would almost swear, I know the name of this. This is, and it would be something simple like you would think this is the sunflower, but that isn't what a sunflower looks like. It isn't just that it's a different color, it is twisted and wrong. And like multiple plants have come together to form something that should not exist.
She would have set aside like a notebook to take cuttings of those and press them between the pages for study.
That is fair. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we leave that, I would imagine, probably recently cleared on this day
Mm-hmm.
patio. And we head way across town, I believe even out of town, to the De Villiers estate. How has that been transformed since this became Fitz's estate?
I don't know that outwardly there's much that's different. Still an old manor house, kind of squat and bulky, old brick with clearly different stages of additions that have happened over the years. It's all very haphazard. But I think the big change is in the interior. I want to say Fitz has let Elise go in terms of redecorating, if that is a thing that they are interested in. He doesn't really occupy much of the house anymore. It's the study and the bedroom, and he really spends 80% of his time in his study. So that is a mess. That is a person lives here and doesn't leave here and sometimes forgets to open the windows sort of situation. But I think the rest of the house was always never really lived in, but he's taken on more staff. He wants to make sure that the local area is taken care of and people have jobs. So he's finding jobs for people and just like, yes, you are second chimney sweep footman. It's a very important position, you understand. I'm putting a lot of trust in you. So I think there's life in the house and there's a lot more movement than was typical before because Fitz's dad was he was a pretty individualist sort of guy. Fitz is mostly turning over the sort of day-to-day to the help and focusing on other things. So the vibe is probably livelier, but not generally all too that much aesthetically different unless Elise has made some major changes, which I will throw the ball.
I don't think Elise knows what to do with that power. You know where she comes from.
I want to see Elise grow into this power.
I think there's a little period of time where she does kind of try, but I don't think decorating a house necessarily sparks joy for her. I think she does find a lot of reasons to call on him. They're not married yet, so she has to hold up appearances. She's with the crown or whatever. She's not over there all the time. But she does find excuses to be over there. But she is in the kitchens. She is in the lawns. She is in the gardens. She doesn't spend a lot of time in the actual house parts of the house. She spends a lot of time where the help exists because that's what she knows. So the kitchen smells amazing when she's there. The gardens look awesome. The horses. Douglas will come around. We're working
someday.
Someday. We're getting there. Baby steps. But I don't think she doesn't know what to do with a dining hall or guest bedrooms or a drawing room. What she does, this is all stuff that she's fairly used to.
That's where you draw, right?
No, apparently not.
Why is it called a drawing room then?
I haven't the faintest.
I don't either. My father never taught me these things. We can make it a drawing room if you want it to be a studio.
Suppose I could draw on it. I don't see what would stop me.
Nothing, literally nothing.
Perhaps I will.
I do think there are certain montage moments of Elise out in the garden, and Fitz's window looks out over all of this. So there are just some moments of break where he's actually managed to get the window open and is just sort of taking in the breeze and watching Elise among people, normal, regular people, being happy, and it makes him very happy. And then he remembers all of the shit that's going on, and he's like, God damn it.
I did want to ask Fitz, given that Elise comes with a bit of a shadow in the form of Joe. How does Fitz feel about the fact that Joe is a discrete distance away from Elise at essentially all times?
Listen, the last I know of Horatia, she's in hell, which is exactly where she deserves to be. But I don't know if she's planning on getting out or if she has co-conspirators. And as much as Fitz wants to, he cannot be present 24/7. So the fact that Joe is around is in fact actually quite comforting. Because he saw Joe in action on, I'm just going to say, a certain night, and we all know what night that was, and we all know what happened. I don't need to, log a dead werewolf, but Joe is clearly capable, so this is This is a comfort.
And how does Elise feel about this?
I think there's the sort of joking like annoyance of like I don't need to be babysat, but it's meant very friendly. Like she knows why Joe's here, and she does like Joe. Like she likes to think that they're friends. So I do think that there is occasionally like an eye roll if like they didn't show up together and then suddenly Joe's there. It's like okay, all right, cool, whatever. But there is like Elise does not busy herself with ladylike things whilst on the property, even if, she's not necessarily hanging about with Fitz. She's still there sometimes. So it's a lot of like, if Joe's here, there's going to be like impromptu, like sword fighting lessons, like in the lawns. Like they're not good. She's not good at it. But like they are hanging out. They're friends. Elise does, want to hang out with people. Everybody is so oddly distant in the ton. There's so many people, but it still weirdly feels a lot lonelier than what she's used to. So she is happy to have the company, and she understands that it cannot always be Fitz because he does have quite a bit going on at the moment. But she's not upset that Joe's there.
And so I am just going to check in with both Fitz and Elise. You'd received the invitation from Duchess Carewood, of course. Were there any other letters that either one of you had received that you would like to share?
Not on my end. Like I said, oddly distant.
I just felt my heart sink at the thought of Elise not having heard from Octavia.
Yeah, you could say that.
And I felt my heart sink the thought of Fitz not hearing from his good friend, Miss Abigail Donatelli, or from his former roommate, Mr. Dorian Black.
Time comes for us all.
And on that somber note, what are Elise and Fitz doing to prepare for the trek out to the Carewood estate?
If it hasn't happened recently, Elise is making sure that this man has a haircut.
Yes. So I would say that if you showed up earlier, Fitz would have been out and about, which is unusual. The depression beard is gone. Like we're not fully shaved, but it's back to being a well sculpted. The gray is still all shot through it. I don't think that's going away. But the sort of curly reddish brown hair is tamed down. It looks like he ran water through it, or at the very least, it's not like bedhead, which is what we've been getting a lot of recently. The clothes fit. He had a tailor in, I think, since the last time you saw him. Because, listen, we did put on some "The Entire Family is Dead," and we're maybe a little depressed about that weight. So, the shirt came out a little bit. We're firmly into our dad bod era, but that's fine. We have money and we can make the clothes fit, and it looks good. So there we are.
Clothes are meant to fit you, sweetheart.
That's right. That is what you've told me several times.
Several times.
I'm sorry it took me this long to do something about it.
As long as we get there in the end, it's good to see you happy.
We did.
Happier.
How are the lessons going? Joe's been
Not good.
No?
Delighted. Oh, I'm terrible. I
know,
told
but-
you, the axe is preferable.
Well, most people don't expect axes, so that could be a point in your favor.
I'll use it to my benefit and to their detriment.
I expect nothing less. You look radiant, by the way.
We're all too kind. You look You look good. And she'll like sort of like, get up on the toes and like ruffle his hair, but like put it back.
He'll step back, put his arms out, and do a little spin.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
We're still in mourning. I hope that's okay.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's the gray netting or whatever. It's
Right.
we're still fully putting on the.
I think Rhiannon would understand.
I would imagine so. Be a pretty poor friend not to.
Oh, I'm very excited for you to meet them.
As am I. You seem more willing to go to tea than usual. You sure this is all right?
I'm terrified, but I think I'm ready.
Good. Terrified is better than nothing.
I agree. It means we're feeling something.
We are.
Put out an
And
arm.
she seems delightful, so I'm
she
sure
is.
it will be fine.
I would also like to add that Fitz has, once the invitation came, he sent out to his book dealer and has acquired several travel logs for the good ones with the nice engraved plates that you have to pay extra for.
Ooh.
Incredible. I will allow it, of course.
Thank you.
And so it sounds like the two of you make your way into London and towards the Carewood estate. How is Rhiannon dressed when they arrive?
Oh, she's dressed in it's a deep emerald day dress. It has some fine gold threading on the sleeves and around the neckline and the hem, embroidered in a flower pattern. But it's very simple and elegant, and she has some azaleas tucked behind her ear and is just kind of pacing in the drawing room, just kind of waiting to hear when they're arrived. But when they do, she just kind of takes a deep breath and just composes herself.
And I would imagine that Noelle has been there with you, and things have certainly been different between you and Noelle
Mm-hmm.
after recent-ish events. She has continued, of course, to do all of her duties, but there is a spark that seems to have gone out of her. It is like she is going through the motions.
Noelle, you've done a lot to help me prepare for the tea party. If you would like some time to rest, you can have one of the other maids nearby.
Not at all, Duchess Carewood. I would be happy to be of service. It would give me something to do.
Of course. And if there's anything you need that could make things easier for you, you just have only to say.
You are far too kind to me, Duchess Carewood.
I hope I am as kind as you deserve, Noelle.
I will be here and ready for whatever you and your guests need.
Thank you.
You. I hope I am not overstepping my bounds, but you are doing a fine job managing the estate.
That's it's very reassuring to hear. Noelle, I would hope if there was a misstep I took that of everyone here you would be the one to tell me.
I would like to say that I will always be honest with you, but as I have not always been, I suppose I cannot say that.
That was not you, Noel. I hope you know that.
And Noelle is silent for a very long moment before she says, I know, and then stops herself and instead says, well, it may not have been my fault, Duchess Carewood. I am still I am still immensely sorry for the pain that it caused you.
I appreciate the apology, Noel, but it is not something I've ever held against you.
Well, your guests will be here soon, and
Yes.
I will give you your space and be right there if you need me.
Thank you, Noel. I appreciate it.
Would you like me to greet them at the door?
Yes, please. That would be nice. Yes.
I first have to ask, because of Douglas, what does Fitz do when he arrives? I need to know.
So, Rhiannon, I assume you do have like a stable.
Oh yeah.
Do you have more than one stable? I will say the De Villiers estate now has two stables: the regular stable and the Douglas stable.
Oh no.
Our
I
boy
think
lives alone.
yeah, I think given that this is the estate in London, there's probably just the one stable.
Hmm.
But some horses can be moved away to clear stall.
Right. I think that Fitz went ahead of. At least, are you riding or are you carriaging? I guess is one of my questions.
If I'm allowed to just ride and not carriage, that's absolutely what I'm doing.
Okay.
100%.
That I think there's a moment where Fitz is like, I'm gonna go ahead because of this, and just like gestures to the Douglas situation
Hmm.
and get things ready.
Hmm. Are you sure you don't just want to ride together? I mean, I know it's Douglas, but
I mean, I do. You know what? Fuck it. We ride.
all right. Not expecting him to go with that.
No, you know what? We're a new regular human. We are making new choices. We're resolving to be better. So while we will maintain a slight distance because we don't want Douglas eating the face of that other horse, or biting or doing anything, we will ride together. So I think what does happen is when we get to the Carewood estate, Fitz like hops off Douglas and brings him into the stables and puts him in like the farthest stall that he can, takes out the like extra fey enchanted chains that he has and like wraps the stall door. Like there are certain precautions that we take with Douglas. So like we're basically putting Douglas in a bomb-proof box that, and it's the bomb-proof is the getting out. Bomb can explode in there and it won't get out. That's the
Lisa's
plan.
made a fancy little sign that says "Do not use" and hangs it on the stall next to his.
Thank
Give
you.
him a little bit of a buffer.
You need it.
Mhm. Little cartoon horses on it.
I will say that for you, Elise, as you are on one of the horses from the royal stables, Joe would take both her mount and yours and bring them to the stables so that you did not have to. So
I can
if you
stable
wanted,
my own horse, Joe. What do you think I did back home?
I know what you did back home, Elise. I know, but what would others think were they to see you doing that?
They would think that I'm capable with my mount. No, it's
Which we
fine.
both
Yeah,
know
you
is
have your
true.
job. I understand. It's 100% playful. Like, she's not. Just giving her shit.
I know that you dislike the fact that the sovereign has you kept like a bird, and that is why we fence. That is why we do archery. That is why we do all of those things. And that is why I encourage you and your betrothed to throw axes together.
What would I do without you?
Hey JD, would it be
Stable my own
cool?
horse.
Would it be cool if Elise rolled volatile?
I am curious about this. Alex, what are your thoughts?
I'm absolutely Inspector Clouseauing her.
Are you sure that's something you want me to do? Just looking at my stats real quick.
I mean, I'm going to pull this swing, but you have to be ready at any time, Elise.
Then yes, Elise, I would like you to roll with volatile.
oh, let me just make sure my stats haven't
I mean,
changed.
if
Nope.
Elise walks in bleeding, that is one thing Rhiannon would not have expected, so it's fine.
Both of you to assume I can. I mean, what?
Oh, you're just a normal human.
Yeah, just
Just
like
normal
a normal
human.
guy.
Just normal
Just,
human.
no,
Normal guy.
I'm very hardy.
So strong.
Small, but strong.
Oh no.
And that's at a -1. So
Uh-huh.
it's a 5 -1. That's a 4.
You know, so the good there's a variety of news on this.
I don't have my hatchet on me. I don't have a sword on me. We're going to tea. I can't block anything.
Well, so the first part of the good news is that you get to mark experience.
That's true. That is true.
Before we talk about what exactly unfolds, I do need to know from you, Alex,
Mhm.
what has Fitz just gone to do?
Oh, he's absolutely flat of a saber on Elise's back.
And so you go to do that. Elise is completely distracted with their conversation with Joe. And Joe, moving in an absolute blur, just gets her sword right between the saber before it can touch Elise. And just looks at you, Fitz.
I give Joe an eyebrow, says, "They're going to have to defend themselves at some point. You know that. You're not always there."
That is not entirely a factual statement, but I do concede your point, and they are getting better.
Well, they didn't hear me coming.
I was busy. I imagine like the logistics of this is that like I have been grabbed and pulled out of the way, probably because I imagine I was between the two of them. This
I
place is
assume-
like
I
a
assume-
bending over the shoulder. Like
I assume the weapons are still locked, and
Yeah.
there's just like increasingly getting close to each other in terms of like,
just like Elise just shrieking in the middle.
I think you have to sleep. I don't know. I don't know if that's true.
I don't know if that's true either, but that's not for you to know.
That said, Horatia is more skilled than I am. And if Elise didn't hear me, it might not hear her. Just a little test. That's all. Just, feeling a little limber today. And Fitz will put his saber away.
And Jo will sheath her sword. She is still focused on Fitz and just say, "You're right. Elise needs to be prepared at all times. Though perhaps let us not draw blood before you are about to walk into a tea."
I think the sort of bemused look on Fitz's face just wipes away.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, if you think that I would ever draw blood, you don't know me.
I wasn't talking about you, Fitz. I was talking about what Elise might do
Oh.
to defend herself.
Yeah, I think Elise has been laughing the whole time, and that stops. And just sort of, over her shoulder again at Fitz, like, perhaps if you're feeling limber, we could practice at home. Yes?
My only point is that Horatia could be here at any point. She will not wait for an opportune or comfortable moment. We have to be very comfortable with the idea that she will do as much as she can to hurt us in the most public way. And you and I both know what that means.
Her, I'm not afraid of hurting.
Not either, as I come to think of it.
Perhaps not on the good Duchess's lawn, though.
Indeed, Rhiannon takes great pride in their garden. And Fitz will give a very flamboyant bow to Elise in apologies and just a more like to Jo, and then offer an arm. And you see him just sort of like put himself into the easygoing Fitz posture. You see the like amiable smile mask come back on. Shall we?
And Elise will take his arm. And just like understanding look to Jo, but also like, please don't kill him. I do like this one.
And Jo offers you a smile, Elise. You can see that she isn't happy over how this unfolded, but she is not angry. And she just nods and goes to bring the horses to the stables to give the two of you the privacy to head inside, though you both know she is not going to be far. And you are greeted at the door of the Carewood estate by an older woman, clearly a maid given her attire, who says, "Captain de Villiers and Miss Elise Clarendon, I would presume?"
The proper curtsies are happening, of course.
You serve a duchess. You recognize a duke when you see one.
My apologies.
I'm just kidding. It's fine. I don't know that Rhiannon would want people improperly greeted, but I'm Fitz. That's all you need. Please.
I will stick with Duke. It sounds like that would be much more appropriate.
What is your name?
I am Noelle.
I think Fitz does a very big bow, takes the hand, does a kiss. You do a credit to this household, Noelle.
That is kind of you to say. Duchess Carewood has done a remarkable job these last few
Indeed.
months.
Would seem so.
You can hardly tell a murder happened here at all. Oh, I'm sorry.
Noelle's face just goes white at that. And she looks between you and Elise and says, "Is that what the people are saying?"
Oh no, a tragic death.
Yes, a very tragic death. Shall we?
I would love to.
Yes.
And Rhiannon, where are you hosting this tea?
I would say it is in probably the back drawing room that overlooks the gardens. So it has lots of big windows and nice light, and probably some French doors that lead out onto the terrace. And she has just been pacing. But it's a very bright room. It's decorated in pale blue wallpaper. There's a lot of like natural wood trim. There's a white stone fireplace that is a small fire going because it's finally autumn, so it's getting a little chilly out. Then again, winter was always here, so it's less chilly than it had been. But
Warming.
it's warming. It has been, yes. But it is a very like welcoming room. Has a nice table with all the tea pieces set up. There's little tea sandwiches, cookies, different varieties of tea because she wasn't sure what to serve. So she's like, let's just let them choose. And there is like a vase of dahlias on the table as well.
And you hear 3 sets of footsteps approaching, and Noelle announces your 2 guests and then steps out of the room to leave the 3 of you to it.
Hello. Thank you so much for agreeing to come. I suppose it's the Duke now. And Miss Clarendon, it's so nice to finally make your acquaintance.
It is. It has been too long, I reckon. There's, the friendly, curtsy, of course, because she's of a station, etc. I am not. There's like, you would recognize probably the same look that you might recognize from Fitz of just like, I'm doing this for like formality because of respect and stuff, but like
Yep.
we're friends here, right?
Yep. Oh, you don't need to stand on formality. It's not a formal affair.
Oh, thank heavens.
I think Fitz has let Elise go in and make the acquaintance. He's sort of hovering back. But once all of that is done, he produces the little parcel of books that he's had wrapped up in his little someone did it. He didn't. And his face has been very stern, but then he breaks into a big smile and says, Rhiannon, so good to see you. And he will very quickly walk forward, give a big hug if that is acceptable, and then
She does not refuse the hug. She is surprised, but she automatically returns it. But she is very thrown because that was not on her list of how things could go. But she just kind of think it's so good to see you. Oh, travel. Oh, you remembered the books. Thank you.
Indeed, yes. There's one in here from a man who went to America. Terrible
Really?
place.
That's what I've heard from Mr. Black, yes.
Yes. Did you know there is a waterfall that they put people in barrels in and throw them over for fun? Because this is all they do have for fun there.
Why on earth would they do that?
Because they are Americans.
Elise looks like she wants to say something, but holds her tongue. The look on her face is, I think that would be kind of fun, though.
And they survive?
Some of them do.
Mostly.
It is a very different country. I don't understand their customs. I'm sure I will be fascinated by this book.
It's not as good as Dorian's stories, but it is a close second.
Yes, I doubt many could top Dorian's retellings of his journeys through America.
Impossible. So, how have you been? And Fitz is just gonna like slump into a chair. We are absolutely not standing or sitting on formality.
She does kind of relax at that. There is still an inherent awkwardness because this is very much first time seriously interacting since the breakup, but things seem to be going well, so she's gonna roll with that. She kind of gestures for Elise to sit as well and says, "There's different tea here. I wasn't sure which kind you preferred."
Sure, I know myself. What is yours? Your tea of choice.
Oh, I'm very fond of mint. It's a specific blend of peppermint and spearmint, so it's two different types. I think they really enhance each other.
Do you have coffee?
I did not prepare some, but I can have that prepared if you would like.
Well, I don't mean to impose, but I do hate tea.
I will ask, and she will kind of ring for Noelle and just say, "Would you mind having the servants prepare a pot of coffee?"
Not at all, Duchess
Thank-
Carewood.
Thank you, Noelle.
Strong. Thank you.
Understood. And she goes off to procure that.
Well, it's been busy here. It's been a adjustment period. Everyone is adjusting to how I run things compared to how my father did. But I think things are going as well as they can be. It's a lot of estate management that I've had to learn very quickly. But my mother luckily has an eye for numbers.
So tell us. And Fitz kind of looks over at Elise. What happened? We heard. I am sorry for your father's death, but I'm also,
Hmm.
you know.
Yes. My father. I know he's was a bit of a tyrant, and she kind of instinctually like grabs the pendant in her throat, which is the petrified spider and moth pendant she had made from the tokens Carmen had given her.
The serial killer tokens. Yes. Good.
He was
Okay.
stalking
they're
tokens. I
Stalking
don't think
tokens.
it was
That's
stalking.
right. I'm sorry.
He was not a serial killer. He was just creeping after her for a while.
Okay, all right.
No one
did
was
not-
harmed in his. No
I
one was
did-
murdered in his pursuit of.
I don't know that that's true, but
That's
That
not
is
true.
not true.
One person was murdered in pursuit of love, but she agreed to it. So
and as we established
she requested it.
in the Shadow Between the Stacks Table 2, one murder does not a serial killer make.
No, that's just one.
You need
There's
at
no
least
pattern.
3.
Yeah.
That's right. There's no pattern.
There's no pattern.
It
It's
is
just one
a
guy.
point of data, okay?
Yeah.
Anyway, yes.
My father attempted to lock me away for another season to relearn some lessons he felt I had not learned, and I disagreed with that choice, and things got a bit ugly, and in my attempts to protect myself, I suppose things got out of hand, and before I knew it, he was deceased.
Well, small people who are afraid of those with real character and power tend to do that, and they tend to wind up that way. I haven't shed a single tear about it, and I hope you haven't either.
No, my mother and I have kept the mourning period very brief, as you can tell.
Indeed.
The temperature in the room drops a few degrees.
Mm-hmm. I should stoke the fire up, but I'm sorry to distress you with that talk, Miss Clarendon.
Oh, far from it.
How many of my cousins did you kill, Elise?
Oh, you know.
I see.
And I think Fitz will get up to stoke the fire in a very like, but
I
This
think
is a normal
Elise was
thing.
about to, and then
Oh, and sing.
So he'll stoke that and leave them to talk for a moment.
Apologies, we'd been tamping things down since autumn arrived, and it hasn't been as cold.
No.
How are you finding everything going with your betrothal, since you still live at the palace, right?
Yes, there is apparently a way things are done, a very particular way things are done, namely in the palace. I, to be honest, find it all quite exhausting.
Yes, it does sound very exhausting. It would.
Far from what I'm used to.
Yes, I imagine that is a difficult adjustment period.
It is certainly different, but it comes with all sorts of good things.
I'm curious, how did you and Fitz meet each other?
The way
If that's all right for me to ask, if it's a
No.
private affair,
I
just talking about
sure
murder,
hope
but
not.
you know,
As people do, I was quite lost in the city. Found someone who knew their way about. Be honest, I should not have been sneaking out of the palace. And it's good to make friends who know their way about. Namely,
yes.
friends who can get you out of quite a bit of trouble, as I seem to always find myself in.
I
One of the things I love about you, dear. Fitz is at the window looking out over the weird plants.
Oh, did they sprout up again?
That's an interesting question.
Isn't it?
That is a very interesting one. How many hours has it been since you cleared them?
It's afternoon. They probably cleared them in the morning. Or Rhiannon cleared them in the morning because they're so weird she wouldn't want the servants to be touching those.
There is what you think is black mold on the patio pits. And there do seem to be some stalks rising up through the cracks, but there are none of the flowers that you have been. There are no flowers that have bloomed yet, so to speak. For you, Rhiannon, this solidifies that the timeline has been getting shorter and shorter. When you first started clearing the patio, it would be clear for days. And then it became a day. And now it's coming back mere hours later.
Rhiannon, I think you've got a strange clematis here. Very mold?
Ah,
Is everything okay?
I'm af- I'm afraid it's not. This part of the other reason I requested both of you to visit. I wish it could be purely a social call, but I know Mr. Deloso has been spending. You and him have been spending a lot of time together. I wasn't sure if Elise had spent any time with him as well, but has he been behaving any strange way that you've noticed?
And the first time I met Carmen, they ate a part of my memories and revealed that their dead brother lived inside of them.
Oh,
So, strange is a relative term with Carmen.
well, that should be resolved by now.
Yes,
That
yes.
different strange, then, I suppose.
JD, has Carmen been acting strangely?
It's hard to gauge, but he's so normal.
Yeah, just
They're so normal.
as the normalist of all of us, apparently, has Carmen been acting a little weird on our little hunting trips?
I'm going to say that, you know, hmm, I think I'm not going to have you use an actual move for this, but I would like you to roll with dark.
Ooh, that's a thing I'm real good at.
Ooh.
So good at it. That is a 4.
Oh.
Carmen absolutely has not been acting
Normal
strange
Carmen!
at all. He's definitely been slightly different, but you're pretty sure that's just because, he no longer has his brother inside of him.
Yeah,
Like,
Carmen is one person again, so I think he's great now.
I'm gonna say, I think we established that Elise has gone on a handful of these hunts, perhaps, but I don't think she really knew him before
Yeah.
this, so I don't think there's any frame of reference.
I mean, Carmen is odd, that's for sure, but whomst amongst us?
Everyone
Is
has
not.
their eccentricities. That spot you're looking at, point of fact, is where I did the ritual to separate him and his brother.
Oh, that was your work.
You did that.
Well done, you. And I don't mean that in a patronizing way.
Miss Donatelli and Miss Frostpin assisted as well. Yes. The problem is, I felt the ritual fall apart, but it still worked.
Mm.
And Carmen and Damien were returned to themselves, whole, alive. But ever since then, weird plants have been growing out of that spot. I have a book of some of them I've taken cuttings of, and she will go and quickly retrieve it from a desk and just kind of put it away on a separate table from the tea things because unsanitary. And just kind of open the pages. She's like, they look.
Can Fitz take out his little reading glasses and have a little looky-loo and see if he recognizes anything? It is established at the party that Fitz is something of an amateur botanist.
Oh. Are the flowers made of teeth anywhere?
What game are we playing? Hold on, wait.
Monster Hearts. So.
Oh, right. Right.
Fitz, you lean in and you are prepared to be looking to understand what is happening here. You don't get much information, but the reason for that is because as soon as you lean in, you smell sulfur. You smell brimstone. And that is so distracting that you cannot focus on anything else.
I think Fitz is going to close the book very purposefully, set it down, and do the like, I have to leave, so I'm going to make like very perfunctory sort of bout. It's like, just excuse me for a moment.
Right?
And he's going to go outside to the patio, and I want a better smell of this situation.
It is overpowering out there. Like, honestly, you are not sure how you did not pick up on this as you were approaching the estate, because now that you have smelled it, it is all you can smell.
I think Fitz takes out like a handkerchief, like just to try to block out something, and then we'll come back inside very quickly and be like, is that coffee? Is that coffee?
Oh. Yes, I can see to the coffee. Do you need something else?
You said mint. You said there was mint tea.
There's mint tea, yes.
Do you have just the leaves?
Yes, I have just the leaves.
I'm just gonna huff tea leaves for a mint tea leaves for a moment to clear my sinuses of that.
I don't think that's how you're meant to. All right.
It's the only way I can take tea.
I feel we may need to discuss this.
No, it's Rhiannon, you're a nature witch.
Yes.
Have you ever dabbled in infernal magic?
I have no need to do such a thing.
Someone did. Now, you said Abigail was involved.
Abigail assisted when the ritual started to go unstable. She and Octavia helped me stabilize it, but then in the last step of it is when everything fell apart.
No, but I don't smell cold out there. I don't smell winter.
Just the infernal.
But it didn't. It failed after Abigail?
It failed in the final step. It started getting shaky when I started the ritual. It's a very complex, powerful spell that I'd never attempted before. And they helped me stabilize it at the start, and then I had it in the middle, and then by the end, I lost it. And I thought they were both going to die, but they didn't. And
The amount out there is not what I have ever noticed on Abigail. I assume, JD? Listen, Abigail is powerful.
yes.
I'm gonna make a caveat there. You had not. I think since Abigail returned, you have noticed a change.
She leveled up.
Right.
She got good.
Season 1 Abigail did not smell that way.
Correct.
So I think the point Fitz is making is that if the amount of power that was required from Abigail was equally required from Octavia, there'd be competing sense. I would get winter, I would get nature, I would get infernal. I'm getting one thing, which means... Does it smell like Abraham? Abraham's been in my body before.
It does not.
Okay.
So if it wasn't your magic that did this and it wasn't their magic that did this, then whose spell worked?
That was a very good question.
Harmon says he doesn't recall anything going wrong, but I'm pretty certain he's lying about that.
Is Carmen capable of his own magic? I apologize. I'm wholly out of my depth here.
I mean, I've showed him a few spells, but he hasn't done anything elaborate in my presence. But
Fitz is thinking back to ball night.
Did something happen when he was outside with you and Mr. Black at the autumn ball?
I can't firmly say because I was having a little bit of a moment. But it was, I think, Carmen who opened the way for the autumn court.
Does that make this fey magic?
Not necessarily.
No.
There is a complex spell that I've recently been studying that can, well, not so much open a door as send you through a door into another realm, but that's not one he should be able to do with so little training.
Are we sure he is in fact alone?
After he returned from the outdoors and we reunited, I attempted to see if something had hovered around him, and it worked quite well. I saw shadows off of him that led to a man that I've never seen before, who was not at the ball. I tried to do a sketch of his face, and she'll kind of flip to the back of the book with the flowers in it and just pull out the paper. And she's not as good an artist as Elise. It's a very like simple, undetailed sketch of the figure. I'm assuming he just wearing a normal outfit, JD? Normal like suit?
It was hard to gauge because he was heavily shadowed. So in the drawing that you have, there's like bits and pieces of features, but nothing. You could not match this sketch up necessarily to anyone.
I wasn't sure if this person, from what I was able to see, is familiar to either of you.
So I have been spending some time with Carmen. Now that I know this particular smell that is very strong outside, is that something I've ever noticed on Carmen?
It's strange because you haven't. And that doesn't seem quite right to you. It's almost as though perhaps that's been being cloaked.
I don't mean to make an argument from lack of evidence, but the mere fact that I haven't noticed something is strange. As to who this is,
So would you think something is just watching him then?
you said you saw connections.
I saw shadows that led from Carmen to this man.
That seems like more than watching to me.
That's what I've been afraid of.
And I think that is right where we are going to take our break on that beautiful somber moment. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 10 minutes to see what these three get up to now that they are starting to suss out that infernal connection with their, can I say friend? I can't
Extremely
say friend.
normal friend.
Just like a
Extremely
regular
normal
guy.
friend.
Just
Regular
a normal
guy.
friend.
He
normal
has all of
boyfriend.
his fingers now, JD. They are all Carmen's.
They're all his. The conversation about ferrets and then the conversation about character face claims or whatever. My brain went, yes, our third season of A Season of Secrets and Shadows, a season of ferrets and stoats. Like, what?
Yes.
And we're all ferrets this time.
We're all
Yes.
ferrets.
All ferrets.
I'm in.
It'll still be Tokyo Drift, though.
It'll be Tokyo Drift, but we're stoats.
What are our mounts?
It's
We're
still
driving
Edinburgh,
little cars.
but we're stoats this time. It's Stoat Edinburgh.
Stoteborough.
Stoteborough.
No. Yeah.
We have been having a time off screen.
I just want everyone to know what the average life expectancy of a weasel is, okay?
Yes.
And remind us, what is it?
It's 50 centimeters.
Which is roughly 20 inches for those of us
If you're
operating
doing
on
the conversion in your head.
for those of us not experiencing Edinburgh Drift.
Condition now.
If you or a loved one been diagnosed with Edinburgh Drift,
You may be entitled to stoats.
to fair compensation. I don't. This is it. This is our legacy.
Yes.
This is once again being immortalized
around us.
Truly wild. And I guess JD was right. Raph is the most normal. Yep.
It's
That's
true.
what they've been saying the whole time.
We haven't been listening.
We should have believed them when we had the chance.
The prophet. They were true.
And that means when they are back in 2 weeks that we will have a real normal time.
It'll be so normal, guys. Just the most normal.
Just the most normal with
Not a
the
single
internal.
stoat nor ferret.
Nope. Nope. No one will have acquired a little pet.
But if there
Absolutely
are, they will
not.
all
No.
be every single one of them will be
character.
under 50 centimeters.
Babe.
What?
Can we have ferrets?
There's
As long as they're under 50 centimeters.
That's true. If they hit 50 centimeters, it's over.
And then we
you
need
know
to,
what I have
Douglas
to do.
gets them
Then
if
we
they're
need to
over
call
I
the
50
have to do
necromancer.
centimeters.
51 centimeters, and I don't think I have the strength to do it, darling.
Yep,
Douglas will do it.
I get it. Douglas will do it.
Douglas will know if they're longer than 50 centimeters.
Douglas gets them.
Douglas is just in the window. Valid to eat ferrets.
Valid to eat ferrets. Valid to eat ferrets. Valid to eat ferrets.
Ferrets.
So the stoats are safe?
Stoats are safe.
Stoats are
fine.
safe.
Stoats
Yeah.
are safe. You heard it here first, folks.
Canon.
Hashtag stoats are safe.
I'm gonna have to make some NPCs based on this. Anyway,
Just the stoat?
Viewers,
it's
okay.
Season of stoat
fine.
safety.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's going to be for season 3, Tokyo Drift.
Edinburgh Drift.
We're taking the Regency to Japan.
I had to think, weren't they already there? Where weren't they? Honestly.
You raise a valid point.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that, moving back to where we left our trio, you were having a conversation about I was going to say missing, but they're not missing because they told you where they would be going, and there's obviously nothing to worry about there. So you were talking about the currently absent Mr. Carmen Deloso, and some changes that you had noticed since the ritual that separated him from his brother. And as you are reflecting on the implications of what that infernal magic means, Fitz, you realize that the room hasn't gotten any warmer. You stoked the fire. It is still burning at the same level that it was. But perhaps it stands out to you as you left the room and then re-entered. It is still colder than it was when you first walked in.
Rhiannon, are you having chimney troubles?
No. This is very odd.
Yes, it's quite cool.
Don't believe any from the Winter Court would have dropped by unannounced. They are quite done with me as far as I'm aware.
Does the cold have a source? Open window or...
You look around the room. The windows are closed. You run your hands along the edges. There is no draft. You even just kind of gaze around. You look at the flowers that Rhiannon has placed on the table. They are perfectly still.
I open the door to the hallway. Is the cold there as well?
It is not.
Rhiannon, I think something's wrong.
All right. This is curious timing, I will admit. But let me see. I want to gaze into the abyss to figure out who's fucking around in my house.
Please do.
It's a dark.
I absolutely love that for you. Yes, roll with dark.
Which is theory, my best stat. But it did betray me in the finale. It's an 8.
And so that will not give you that +1 forward that you get with a complete success, but you are able to see Rhiannon. And I want to ask, in this case, what does it look like when you go to gaze into the abyss?
I think in this instant, Rhiannon gets up from the chair and just kind of centers herself in the room and just she kind of holds her hands out for a moment just to kind of like feel the cold in her fingers and just kind of closes her eyes and lets her magic stretch out beyond her to the source of the cold.
Rhiannon, you open your eyes and everything around you is in black and white. All of the color has been leached out of the room, presumably out of the estate. And more notably than that, not only are Fitz and Elise nowhere in sight, the whole setup is no longer in sight. The tea set, the cups, the coffee that was actually brought in for Fitz in the midst of your conversation, all of that is gone. The flowers. And as you gaze around, any changes that you made to the room since your father's death have been reversed. Whether that is a piece of furniture in a different place, whether that is a different color on the walls, all of it is different. What do you do?
This is a trick. You're not going to throw me off in my house. I think she steps over towards the window to see what that weird mold and weird creepy flower spot looks like in this version of what she's seeing.
You look out, and that spot, and only that spot, looks like void. It is just nothing. And it is distinctly nothing because as you gaze around, everything else is the same. Again, differences. Plants that you added are not there. The plants that your father preferred are. But that is a hole in the universe when you look out at it. And as you are gazing out, you hear someone clear their throat behind you.
Just immediately whips around.
You see your father sitting in the chair, staring at you. He looks different. He has the wounds that Carmen left on him. And his eyes, much like that space outside, are dark holes.
Rhiannon just feels herself instinctively freeze up, but then she just kind of like is trying to force that down and is just Why are you here?
It is my house, Rhiannon. You didn't think it would be that easy to get rid of me, did you?
None of that night was easy, Father. Why are you back now?
Who says I ever left? And he snaps his fingers, and you are thrown back into the bright, sunny room that you were in moments before this nightmare unfolded.
I think just in you see the azalea she'd had in her hair just immediately like through that exchange with her father had withered into absolutely like brittle, like they could disintegrate at the touch, and instead like the stems had started turning into thorns and was just snaking very quickly through her hair during the exchange. And just the moment she comes back, she just kind of backs away from where she had seen her father sitting. Did either of you see anything just now?
No,
Everything was perfectly normal.
your flower died.
Ah, that happens sometimes when I'm stressed.
What did you see?
My father sitting in that chair, and the house as it was before he passed, and that spot was just a void. Like this,
Fitz's face gets much sterner at the mention of fathers, and it's almost involuntarily that he says, "You still see yours too?"
what?
Oh, that gets a look.
You've been seeing your father? In your head?
Constantly.
Does it look black and white when you see him? There was no color.
It's less of a seeing and more of an impression, but the darkness inside has taken on his voice.
Is it still cold in the room?
The cold has actually lessened. I think this is the moment you realize that because it's been steadily getting to the temperature that it was when Elise and Fitz first entered. But at this time, there is no more of that iciness.
And this is the first time anything weird has happened in the house.
I'm gonna have you
Mm.
roll with dark.
Yee. Okay. It's an 11.
You are starting to put pieces together, Rhiannon, as you're reflecting on what just happened and the events of the past few months. You know, as you think back, there were a lot of things that you attributed to other factors. Of course, there has been the chill in the air because of winter. So, at times where you walked into a room and it was chilly, you attributed it to that. At times, there was even a reason the window was open, the fire had gone out, things like that. But you also start to remember times when items were moved around. Sometimes it was a piece of furniture, sometimes it was a book that you would have sworn you put back on the shelf was back on one of the side tables. The kitchen staff have repeatedly said that certain pieces of food were missing, spices were gone. And again, there were always reasonable answers. Something could have been moved by one of the other members of the staff. It's possible, but there is now a larger picture that you're seeing suggesting that this is something that has been building since your father's death. And I would say with an 11, it strikes you that it was this long until you saw him, because it took this long for power to build enough for him to be seen.
I think I put so much focus on managing the estate, I overlooked some now very telling evidence of a haunting.
Oh dear.
Just what I need on top of everything with Carmen. I apologize. This was not how I wanted things to turn out.
Nothing to apologize for, but haunting, that should be able to take care of that. Yes?
In theory, I don't know if that spot on the patio is going to cause any complications. It seems my father was able to manifest because he finally has enough power to manifest. I would. His eyes were the same void as that spot on the patio. I don't know if that was just a mere coincidence or if he just crawled out of hell to return. That's not a portal to hell! No, I would sense that.
It certainly smells like one.
If I may be perhaps out of turn,
No, not at all.
was your father of your same practice?
Yes, he was actually quite of the opinion that any witch that needed to turn to the infernal arts for power was weak and not worthy of having them at all. So he would not partake in those practices, and he would be very angry if I had done so either.
And yet.
I suppose beggars can't be choosers when they have a grudge. I'd know if that was a door. I'd know.
Would you?
Well, is this a thing we can test?
If both of you are comfortable doing so.
I will warn you. If we do test it, and it is indeed a portal to hell, I have some business there.
Joe's gonna be pissed. Sort of looks at Fitz.
Well, I'm not saying we go through it if it is a type of door, and I mean, I'm just saying we figure out what exactly it is. If it's a portal, if it's something that was a portal and is merely locked now, if it's just the remnants of something that came through during the ritual, or if it just merely caught the energy and was poisoned by it from whoever interfered.
Number of good options. It might be best to get Joe, just in case.
Does Joe have experience in this sort of affair?
I'm not certain it's this particular affair, but she has more experience in these things than I do. Can I? Where is Joe?
Never far, probably.
Lurking.
Do you look outside to try and see Joe?
Yeah, I'd probably look out the window, and then if I don't see her, I have other ways of checking in on her, but I'll keep up the mundane facade for now. I'm just a human girl.
It's true.
Just a little guy right there,
Okay.
doing little guy
Alright.
things.
My stuff, looking out a regular little guy window. For my other regular little guy friend.
There's so many little guys in this house.
And this
And-
house has so many little guys in it.
So many little guys. But we're missing Carmen. And Carmen is the most little guy of little guys.
This guy.
Oh. There's usually so many little guys.
So many.
And so you look out the window, Elise, and frankly, yes, Joe is in some ways keeping up the facade of being just a normal guy, in that when you look out, she is sitting up in a tree overlooking
Yeah,
the
she is.
window.
Yeah, she is.
Classic
Just sitting
Joe
there,
move.
like
Oh,
back
classic
against
Joe.
the trunk, one leg up,
Classic
just
Joe
watching.
activity.
And she waves at you. I mean, her expression is neutral at best, since you are looking out there towards her, but she seems relaxed and kind of then looks at you questioningly.
Okay, so she hasn't seen anything troubling. That's, good to know. I think there's just kind of like the half nod of like, come in here. It's like very casual. I'm not hurt. I'm not in a rush. Just like come here.
Which I think is wonderful, because any pretense of just being a little guy disappears as Joe turns into a blur of movement, leaps down from the tree, and is essentially at the window by the time you are able to blink.
Got them Legolas moves.
Expecting her to perhaps use the door. Um, I is there a door in the room? Do I need to go?
Yeah, there's a
out?
French door that leads out to the
Yeah,
terrace.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Elise just opens the door, just like subtle?
It seemed urgent.
Need to get better at that then. Just sort of, opens the door, just like, Joe, the Duchess Carewood.
Pleased to meet you.
Are we leaning on formality, just so I have a sense?
I don't think it's necessary at this moment.
What's going on? You all look deeply troubled.
We believe
So-
Duchess Carewood may have a portal to hell on her terrace.
Hmm.
In so many words, yes.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and what are the three of you planning to do about that?
Well, test the portalness of said portal.
No one's going through it. We're just
No.
gonna figure out for sure if it's
Yeah.
a portal, if it was a portal and is no longer active and is merely the remnants of an old spell.
I think we're just
no
going
one's
to
opening a
knock.
door.
We're being responsible, and we're asking for some help from someone who may have expertise that we don't. It's very much like, I am behaving, see?
It's these two wackadoos' idea, not me.
I'm just here being normal.
But also, like, I really want to go through the portal. I'm not going to do it. I'm just thinking about it. I'm not going to do it.
Intrusive thoughts.
Sometimes they win.
Joe's eyes are laser focused on Fit. And in response to his comment about we just want to knock, she looks very serious and says, when you knock, doors open.
We don't need to knock. We just need to know for sure what it is. Since it's apparently been rotting here for a time.
Well, if we don't knock, that's fine, but we do need to know what it is. So, Joe, just in case, that's why we want you here.
I would not be anywhere else. This is exactly the type of thing that I am meant to shield Elise from.
Indeed, extremely convenient to have you around then. Rhiannon? And Fitz will gesture at the door toward the
Yes.
terrace.
I will. She always keeps a small satchel nearby of some items to use for spell work, just given how the summer that wasn't summer went. Everyone's been a little on edge. Would she have been able to acquire some holy water after the autumn ball?
Certainly, that is one of the many substances that is now being
Very
readily
popular.
sold on the street.
Yeah, she wants to make sure it's legit holy water, so. And not just, it's totally fine!
I'm just picturing these little urchins being like, get your holy water here! It's been blessed by priests of every major religion, all the good ones. We got the archpriest of the moon, the archpriest of the sun. Not that other one, though. Sorry, just the two.
What, you don't want holy water blessed by the infernal church?
Unholy water!
Get your unholy water here!
Incredible.
And keep those urchins employed.
So yes, I think it's fair to say, Rhiannon, you could get legit holy water.
Good. Because she wants the good stuff.
All of them. Every pope.
Every single pope, bless
Yep.
this.
Just please and thank you. Let's hurry up.
A lot of popes. I think as they're sort of heading out, I think Elise will sort of hang back a couple steps, and I imagine Joe sees this and will do the same. And very, very hushed tones. Maybe Fitz would hear, maybe not. This is specifically for spooky ears. But it's is infernal magic anything that you have seen before, worked with, not worked with, but you have a lot more experience in this than even I know about. I'm not a magician, Joe.
I know you're not a magician, Elise. Joe looks troubled. Yes, when I was a human, I had some experience with this. It's not exactly an experience that I wish to repeat, but if it is what is needed to keep you safe, then as my duty and for my friend, that is what I will do.
Yes, and as my duty as your friend, if you need to sit this one out, you tell me.
I cannot sit this one out, Elise.
You can feed me information from the sidelines.
I will.
You cannot
keep that in
protect me
mind.
if you are in danger yourself. Okay?
You are, as always, kind, Elise, to worry about me. I have been alive a long time. Do you have any concerns about this?
Only insofar as my friends are involved.
And what about your family?
Don't see why they wouldn't be involved in this.
You were pretty concerned about them after the target that was placed on your back.
And I still am. I don't see how this changes things. We knew that there was meddling in London. We knew that they were somewhere. We don't know that they're here. We want to find out. Knowing is better than not. Knowing is what will keep them safe.
And Elise, I truly hope you keep that in mind as you and your friends do whatever it is that you are about to do. Because if this is gathering information, that is one thing. If this is taking action,
I know.
preparation should be made.
I think it's just sort of the very stern nod and just like, turn back forward, continue walking.
And so the four of you step outside to approach the spot on the patio.
I think Rhiannon initially starts doing a bit of a containment circle around the area just to as an additional like lockdown measure to keep anything from leaking through. So just kind of like a ring of salt. She gets out a chalk to write some protective like sigils to just kind of like make sure whatever is there is not going to spread.
I think Fitz is keeping his distance because of the overwhelming nature of the situation. Like he's sort of pacing in broad arcs around, but it's far more of a Rhiannon knows what they're doing. I'm just here in case something accidentally pops out, like a Horatia.
Elise is right next to Rhiannon and Joe in case there's any help needed. Unless something smells like blood, and then I'm out. Because I don't know what magic looks like. I don't know what all Rhiannon needs to do for that. I don't know what this thing is from Adam. So it's a very hesitant, like, like looking at Joe, like, am I good to, am I good?
And Joe doesn't look immediately concerned. Like I think you, Elise in particular, you and Fitz, I will say both for different reasons, notice the change in Joe as you step outside. And again, it seems strange that it wasn't until this moment that it seems like she as well could now feel this energy. And you see her bare her teeth slightly, and the fangs are more pointed than they usually are. Her eyes are not full red, but they are edging in that direction.
There's a hand on her arm, just like a very concerned, like, there is company. Like, Elise knows that Joe does not show that to everyone. Just sort of, I'll help you remember yourself if you help me remember myself. Come on now.
I mean, unless mommy wants to come out to play.
That has now been said and also immortalized.
I'm just saying.
And you're right, too.
Thank you.
You're not wrong.
Absolutely correct. So, I'm trying to suss out what is the deal with the hell rot on the patio. Would that be another dark roll? Like, say, would that be a gaze into the abyss type situation?
I think rolling with dark makes perfect sense.
See, what you need here is a pretty strong pressure washer with some holy water in it. That'll do it.
Spray
Yeah.
them demons right out the stonework.
That's right. Just get right in there in the crevices and get them right out.
That is the plot of the rest of the episode.
Yes.
Yeah,
Power
funny.
washing.
Regency era power washer.
Funny enough, that's a 13.
We
That's
built
6.
such a good power washer, JD.
Sprayed him right back to hell.
Those urchins won't know what hit him. Coming for your brand.
Amazing. Amazing on all accounts. And so I am just going to ask to clarify, Rhiannon, what was your exact intention as you did this?
Exact intention was to determine what was its previous purpose, what's its current purpose, what's its future purpose. And if I can, how do I shut it down and get rid of it?
Okay.
If that's too much, I could roll again for a different question.
You're going to get some of those answers. So you are. It is not surprising that you are able to make sense of this in the way you are, based on the different pieces of information that you have been receiving, because you have been studying doors and how to create them. You are now aware of what this may be, and it is almost as though there was a glamour on it. Obviously, not strong in the sense of something was intrinsically wrong. You knew it was wrong. You had been trying to figure it out, but not knowing the fact that this could be a portal to hell, you didn't have those missing pieces quite yet. And so you have set up this circle of protection around it, and you know that is going to hold. And what you see, based on what you are wondering, well, you see the moment that the ritual went wrong. And once again, and I know it has been so hard for Rhiannon to believe this, you know that this was not your personal failing, that this was complicated magic, that even with the combination of the three of you putting your energies into it, was not stabilizing enough to do what needed to happen. But you also sense that there was a force that gave it a push in that direction, that wanted this to happen. And you see, without words, Carmen's conversation with Father Adams. You stand there in that graveyard observing them, and you see them shake hands. And you recognize that was the moment that Carmen and his brother were saved, and that the roots of this portal were allowed to start to grow. And you realize as well, as you gaze back at the house, that your father's judgmental stance on infernal magic does not seem to have extended, or does not seem to have extended past the grave. He is clearly also tethered in some way.
So that's not connected to the portal situation at all.
Oh, it is.
Okay.
Yep.
So he's a hypocrite.
He is 110% hypocrite. Shock of shocks. He
Who knew?
seems like he was willing to bargain. And in fact, you realize that is why the portal is still here. You know this type of magic would have left a scar. It wouldn't have just disappeared. But your father and his connection to the portal and the house is keeping it not open, because it is not open in this moment. But it is a passageway. And it could be opened fully. You're pretty sure it hasn't been. But there is enough that your father is siphoning from it that it is remaining. And there was enough there to begin with from Carmen's deal for it to linger.
So is the only way to get rid of it to yeet my dad into it? Or just sever his connection to it? I need to roll for that.
I will say that Rhiannon knows enough that if the connection is severed, that would certainly cut off one piece. You're not entirely certain because you're still trying to understand what is happening with Carmen and what happened with this ritual and what type of deal Carmen made. You cannot say for certain that that would get rid of it in its entirety, because Carmen is the other connection to this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to even say further, you don't know what that would mean for Carmen.
So I can't get rid of it or my dad, basically. Or can I get rid of my dad?
You are pretty sure that you could sever your dad's connection without hurting Carmen, because that would not inherently close the portal. You are not sure what it would take to sever that connection.
I just think kind of examining the portal or the whatever this is and just getting the information that this is what gave her father the ability to slip back through, that he clearly is a hypocrite and made a deal, and this all stemmed from Carmen making a deal that he's been lying to her about from the start. She just kind of is just looking at this play out and just kind of instinctively just raises her hand and just brings it down really hard in the center of where the rot is and just slaps it as hard as she can. And she says, "You lied to me from the start?"
I think Fitz is approaching at this point. What's going on?
Carmen made a deal because the ritual failed.
Hey, Steph,
Hmm?
I need you to roll to keep your cool.
Awesome. Okay, that's my bad stat. Yay! Alrighty, that's a -1, I believe it is.
This isn't so much to act despite fear. This is to not kind of lose control of yourself in this moment.
Is it
Oh,
open for you?
it's a 2. I rolled a 2 and a 1, and I have a -1. That's a 2. What did I fuck up?
We love gaining experience.
I get experience.
You have gained so much experience tonight. I am so happy for you and your ability to level up.
Indeed.
Woo!
So I think, first of all, you are going to go darkest self.
That was fast. That was real fast. First.
Darkest
I'll
Self,
say it.
baby!
Sorry about the tea party. It's ruined.
Don't like tea anyway. It's fine.
Sorry you missed out on the coffee, Fitz.
It's
It's
there.
still in there.
It's just cold.
Just
It'll
put
be
it by
fine.
the fire.
Yeah.
So yes, Rhiannon, as you realize that Carmen has been lying to you this entire time, that rage just boils over, and you cannot contain it anymore. This is such a betrayal, and not only did Carmen lie, I mean, your father, terrible person, but he's a hypocrite. Carmen's a hypocrite. Everyone around you is a hypocrite. You are just surrounded by these people who do not respect you, do not treat you the way you deserve to be treated, do not tell you the truth, do not treat you with respect. And it is all coming back to these beings, these creatures that hold so much power that is so corrupted and so wrong and twisted, and it is against everything you have ever stood for. Now your boyfriend is caught in the middle of that. Now your father is using that. Now there's a connection between Carmen and your father with this figure in the middle.
Oh no. So
And what I'm going to say is several things happen at the same time.
uh-huh.
Elise,
Yes, JD.
Joe grabs your arm tightly. And when you look over at her, I don't know exactly what you're expecting to see. Whether it is, her preparing to like get you behind her and be acting as a shield, whether it is that bloodlust that you saw coming up manifesting in all of its fury. And because of that, I imagine you look right towards her face and her eyes to see if they are red.
Immediately.
They are not. They are white.
What?
Hmm?
Pardon?
And she does not look at you. She does not speak if you speak to her. She seems frozen.
I think instinctively that arm that she's grabbed goes in front of her, like to put her behind Elise. Because I don't know fully what Elise doesn't know what her situation with the Infernal is, but it clearly isn't good. Um, so maybe this is the time when she protects Joe a little bit. I think there's a very concerned glance over to Fitz, like very clearly, I don't know what the hell is happening. But her eyes are back on Joe because this is nothing. What? Like this is nothing that Elise has any frame of reference for.
And it only lasts, I mean, it feels like an eternity, but it's maybe 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds, and then Joe's eyes go back to normal. And her expression, she is trying so hard to keep it neutral. But when she looks to you, Elise, it is panicked and almost pitying. And she says, Elise, we need to get back to the palace right now.
What's going on, Joe?
I think it would be best that we wait until we're back. Your friends can come along, but we need to be back there right now. And in fact, I think it would be good if your friends were to come along.
Immediately eyes at the other two, like, you up for a trip to the Crown?
Why?
We brought Jo because she knows things like this. She says it's a good idea. I trust her.
I need to
Please.
figure out how to get this rot out of my house before it kills Carmen all over again.
We can't get it out of your house if it kills you first. We can go somewhere safe. We can make a plan. We can, I don't know, ask around, research things. I don't know how you do magic stuff like this, but we can make a plan. We cannot act rashly, Rhiannon. That's how these things happen in the first place. That's how bad deals get struck.
Yeah. Apparently everyone in this house made a deal with something.
You haven't.
We're not going to let you be next.
Correct.
I don't want to make a deal with one of those demons. I just want to find which one made the deal and peel its face off.
This is not the time of peeling faces.
That will come later.
For now, I go where Elise goes. And I think Elise is right. Whatever is happening here, you need to bring your servants. You need to vacate this house for the time being.
I can send them to the country estate with my mother and make sure everything is locked.
Yes, I think that would be for the best. You are welcome in my townhouse or at our estate for as long as you need. But Elise is right. We will find what is happening. We will figure out how to beat it, and then we will peel its face off.
Why the palace?
Elise just looks at Jo.
Jo has kind of this expression as you're laying out the steps and plans for how to vacate the Carewood residence. It's kind of like this, yes, that's good, but you can tell that there is more on her mind than just the portal. And she says, well, to be frank, this is a problem, and I'm not going to say it is not a problem, but the reason we need to get back to the palace is at least you have a visitor.
Who?
Your brother.
Fitz, you've seen Elise scared. You have never seen Elise this terrified.
I think Fitz is up in Joe's business, like, he's like, and this is information you choose to give us right now.
I was just given it.
Oh, that's what that was?
Fitz, I need to go.
Go. Joe, go with. Rhiannon, I'll talk to the servants. Go with them.
Elise is gone. Elise is in the stables.
Go with
is-
Elise.
Go with Elise.
Right. Tell Noelle and my mother where I went and not to come out here, and you know what to tell them.
Yes.
And what I am going to say is, as part of that failure in the role,
Yeah.
Rhiannon,
Yeah.
you don't notice that you have scuffed a mark in that containment circle. Nor do you see the energy starting to roil in that inky darkness. But that's fine, because you are heading towards the stables, to ride off over to the palace with Elise and Joe. Joe does pause long enough to look at Fitz. And you can see that Stern doesn't describe it. Angry doesn't even really describe it. She just looks at you and says, if you do something rash right now at a time when Elise needs you the most, I will not forgive you. Do you understand me?
I wouldn't forgive myself. Now you're wasting time.
Oh, I'm not wasting time. And she whistles, and her horse is running out to meet her, and she just grabs a hold and jumps on and is ready to go.
Legolas shit.
I would like to roll to keep my cool, if you don't mind.
I would love for you to do that.
Speed
feel like it's
run!
what
Let's
we
go,
all have
Dark
at this point.
Because as soon as the words are out of Fitz's mouth, there is another voice in his head that's like, but she's down there.
Oh, it's not open. Oh.
And we could just open this up and we can go deal with that problem, which has been a festering problem for a really long time.
Roll to keep your cool. I love
Really
it.
long time.
Does he need Rhiannon to open that door?
It's okay, because Alex got a 10.
Hey!
With a -1. So
Love
it's a 9.
wins!
Love wins. So I think Fitz's eyes go red for just a moment as Dad Wolf wants to take over, and then Fitz is like, no, there are people here that we need to deal with. That is for another time. Face peeling is for another time. I just said that. So I think he will there's just a second where he looks at the portal, is like, and then he is going to head back and get all of the servants and be like, okay, country estate, now. Like, we're leaving. I'm going to be as mean to them as I have to be to get them to fucking move.
Honestly, they've probably been used to that since
I was going to say,
Leopold, but Rhiannon has not been that way. That's probably very familiar to them.
I was going to say, there may be a little too much Rhiannon's dad in Fitz's voice as he's, like, getting them to go. He hates it, but you got to do what you got to do.
I think everyone hates it, but I feel like that would make them move fast. Please, JD, please be nice to my staff and my family that I've left.
Since Fitz was looking at the circle before he left, would he have noticed the smudge?
I think with that internal war going on between Dad Wolf and Fitz,
Okay.
I think that Fitz was a bit too distracted.
That's
and
fair.
So,
The house.
like,
Everything
all you
is
know
fine.
is that Rhiannon has contained it. You know, she has done that. And you're not
Rhiannon
opening
is
it
one
right
of the
now.
most competent witches I know.
Rhiannon
Exactly.
continues to be her own problem.
Rhiannon
Without
would
I don't
fail.
know shit about magic, but that looked great. I don't.
Yeah, it was real good.
She nailed
So-
it again! And she nails everything!
Shit.
So I'll get them on their way, and then I will follow to the palace on Douglas. And Douglas is going to be unleashed. I'm going to let Douglas do whatever Douglas needs to do to get us to the palace as fast as possible.
See some secrets and shadows. Douglas Unleashed.
Douglas unleashed.
Amazing. And so, Elise, Joe, and Rhiannon, you do have that head start on Fitz and Douglas. What is going through Elise's head as she approaches the palace?
I think Elise is doing some goofy shenanigans. She can, at this point, she's taken this stinking horse all around town. She could get back to the palace with her eyes closed. That's fine. She's honestly trying to get any sort of head start on figuring out what the hell's going on as she can. So she's not waiting for anybody to get on their horses. She's already gone by the time anybody else gets to the stables. And she is trying to basically rack her brain for anybody else in the palace that she has ties to. that she could check in on in her way. And I think at this point, that is Micah. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, there may be like a servant or two, but I think Micah would be the person if somebody has come calling for Elise and it is like weird and urgent and Joe knows about it, Micah might. So I think Elise is trying to use the sort of mark that she has on Micah to reach out and see if what's going on with them, if they know anything about this situation, trying to get any sort of read on what's going on before she gets there.
I think that is very fair.
Oh, cool. So I would like to, I believe gaze into the abyss is what that uses, and using that marked for the hunt. Little dealio there. Hopefully it isn't bad. We'll see. Oh, thank God. Okay. That is a 10 plus 3 because of
We'd love to
shenanigans
see it.
that I will not admit in a court of law. Is it Micah? What are they doing? How are they feeling? Are they freaking out? Should I be freaking out? I am freaking out.
And so you find Micah, and it maybe surprises you since it is a private study that you usually meet them in. That is where they are, and they are pacing. Their hands are behind their back, and their expression is troubled, but it flashes back and forth between neutral and troubled, and you realize that is because they are not alone in there. And every time they step where that other person could see them, their expression shifts to neutral. Every time they step out of eyesight, troubled once again. And you can tell that they are pacing, but their movements are very controlled. Someone else would think that they were thinking, they were being reflective, they were being meditative, but you can see that agitation underneath. And you see the person who is in there with them. And it is your brother, Jonathan. He does not look hurt. I imagine that is the first thing that you would care about. There is no indication that any harm has come to him. But he is upset. And in fact, I think at the moment you're in, he is not making the best choices because there's been probably 15 to 20 seconds of silence. And at that point, he stands up, no longer is sitting, and doesn't move towards Micah. Clearly knows enough to not do that, but just demands of them. Where's my sister? What are you doing? Why are we just sitting here and waiting? Why isn't Elise at the palace? She's supposed to be here. For her safety, she should be here for her safety. And Micah says, I have sent a courier to fetch her. They will be back shortly. And Jonathan says, that's not good enough. You need to do something. You need to do something because Clara is missing. And Elise, I am terrified that Elise is going to be next. And that is where we are going to end tonight's session.
I swear to God. Oh man.
It's just so many Rammies all at once.
Oh man. So I guess I'm rolling to keep my cool at the start of next session, I guess is what's happening, right?
Correct.
Darkest
correct.
Self speedrun, let's
We're
go!
on the same page here.
You know what?
How dare
Actually,
you bring Clara into this?
actually, I would like you to roll for that right now.
Hey.
But I get one forward because of my vision? Does that do this? Can I use it on this, or do I have
You
to
know
use it on
what?
something
I will
direct?
let you use it on this. Because I think you recognize it would be important to keep your cool.
Oh, yeah. It would be good to, have my faculties about me or what have you.
Oh. With the forward?
The 9.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good. That's mixed success. Mixed success is good.
That is a mixed success,
Right.
and yes.
It's not a fail, like me.
Oh, they actually leave me vulnerable,
Mine
JD.
too.
JD.
And so, what I will say with that, Elise, you see that, you hear your brother's words, you realize that exactly what you were afraid of has happened. And you know that you are strong. You know that you can tap into, I was going to say more power than you've ever let yourself feel, but you did let yourself feel it that night. And you are imagining what it would be like to just let yourself go. You also realize, though, if, for instance, this is Horatio de Villiers who has done this, regardless of who has done this, allowing that anger to take over right now is not going to help. And something you are the most afraid of is you could return to the palace in that state, and your brother is in that palace. Other people you care about are in that palace, mates that you've developed friendships with. Even Micah, you're pretty sure you couldn't hurt them, even if you were in that state, but you're not positive. And all of that, I think, is enough for you to reflect on the consequences.
Yeah, I think there's a hot second where I don't think she doesn't move to change direction, but there is the thought that crosses her mind that she could go back. She could find that door. She could go through and she could unleash hell on, well, hell, I guess. But that's not where she's the most useful, and she is not the best person to do that. And slowly kind of, it feels like it takes forever, but it's, the span of half a second, just sort of talks herself down from it because she could do that, but that's not going to help. And what's not going to help even more is showing up to the palace in a state like that, where people that she actually cares about are, and where now, apparently, some of her family is. So I do think she, spurs the horse, perhaps a touch unkindly, but working on it. And she's hauling ass. I don't think she stables the horse. I think she just runs.
And I think because Douglas is who Douglas is, that the way this unfolds is that Elise, you have just kind of left your mount, and you know that Joe will handle everything.
There
You
are
don't need
folks
to.
about.
You're not even thinking about that. Like, you're just focused on getting in. I just have to ask for Fitz. Would Fitz take the time to stable Douglas, or would he run after Elise?
No, but I think what happens, if you'll allow, is Fitz, peels into the courtyard, jumps down off of Douglas, and then does one of these. And it's like, Douglas? Light? Stay.
Like we've rehearsed.
And then he will... And if you want me to roll for
It's a
that...
trust exercise.
Yeah,
It's a trust
if you would like me to roll
exercise.
for that, I'd love to, but then I would run into the palace.
I will actually just give that to you. I think that is fair.
Thank you.
Just to avoid horse massacre in the palace courtyard.
You know what? You have
Horse
enough going
massacre is on
on.
the table safety sheet.
I was gonna say the next morning the papers were rife with the beast of the palace that just went on a fucking rampage.
Beast of Renhaven.
It was like a horse, but not. It
It's
had
so
a
much
mad
worse.
glint in its eye.
Roots in the palace.
Incredible. See, I almost want that to happen just to allow that to happen. I will not, though. You have portals to hell, deals with demons, missing
Let
siblings.
Douglas cook. Okay?
Off screen, god damn it.
You know what? Tune in 2 weeks to find out if there is a massacre.
Poor workers.
And so I think Elise and Fitz, you both reach that door at almost the same moment. In fact, I think your hands like touch as you're reaching for the doorknob.
Oh, she's shoving it open. Elise is not waiting for anyone at this point.
And so where we are going to leave the 3 of you, plus Joe, is Rhiannon and Joe still outside at the stables.
Fight a horse.
Possibly
Maybe.
having to fight a horse.
My God and a horse in this Wendy's.
She's dark itself. She might as well at this point.
And then Fitz and Elise are stepping into the study. Micah has turned to face you. And has Fitz ever met your family? No,
No,
because
Fitz did
Fitz was not allowed on that
Did not
trip.
come with.
Yeah.
But I
And
think it's
so-
clear when Elise runs and hugs Jonathan who this is.
And so with that, Fitz, you see Elise run to her brother. He wraps his arms tightly around you. You hear him let out a breath that he has been holding. He's obviously not calmed, but the fact that you are here and not hurt means everything to him. And he just says, Elise, I'm so sorry. I'm
We're
so
going to
sorry
find her.
that-
We're gonna get her back.
And there's a moment where like he was clearly preparing to give you the news and is thrown off by the fact that you already know, but he looks to Micah and clearly decides like, oh, that like yes, they sent the message that included all of the details. So
Elise is not even thinking about this.
so that is definitely what goes through his head, and he just takes a deep breath and nods and says, "You're damn right, we will." And that is where we are going to end.
I still hate it, but I feel better about that.
Yay! We have been on a wild ride here tonight, so it is also late. I am going to let us do some outros, take some deep breaths. Unfortunately, you know what? I don't know if it's. I'm gonna start with Alex. I'm gonna just start with Alex, like in the middle, just because I feel mean. Starting with Kidder Steph.
Ow. First of all, how dare you? Second of all, how could you? Third of all, how dare you again? All right, I'm Alex. I'm Mightiest Finn on Blue Sky. No, I'm Mighty Finn on Blue Sky. I'm Mightiest Finn on Twitter. I have been Captain de Villiers and Douglas, I guess. What do I want to say? I have a Kickstarter for a game that I wrote. We're almost there. We're like over 80% of the way funded. We have a week left. I would really like to be funded. that would be cool. So if you like New England Gothic horror or pirates and the Gulf Coast and that kind of horror, check us out. There's a link in my Twitter and I think on my Blue Sky. I might have to update that. Other things, I'm in other games. I talk about them on my Twitter. So, thanks, JD.
It's all with love. It's all with love, Alex.
Okay.
All right, Steph. I'm gonna put you on the hot seat next.
Fine. Yeah, it's great. Everything's still coming up for Rhiannon problem-wise. Yay! Oh, she's a disaster. I love her. Hi, I'm Steph. You can find me at S Brown Writes over on Blue Sky and the Dumpster Fire, known as Twitter. You can also catch me on the Discord for Laughing Apocalypse. I'll be back in 2 weeks on Redacted and for the second session for Table 2. You can also catch me over on Guild Superior on the 23rd, where I will be in a one-shot of Bluebeard's Wife. A nice psychological horror game, playing one of the aspects of Bluebeard's wife as she explores her house and sees whether she decides to trust her husband or not. I'm sure it'll be a normal one, just like the Tea Party.
Yeah. I feel very confident about that for you, that it will be a normal one, just like the Tea Party was normal. And last but certainly not least, Kit, I'm so sorry that you gave me a family.
I know what I did. I know it. These are my Rammies, finally, in season 2. Hi, y'all. It's been a time. I am Kit, performer, producer, writer, podcaster, doing all the things. You can find me places, most of the places on the internet at KitRoll, or on Twitter, while supplies last, at KitRollCause. Same way it's spelled, I believe, below me. I don't know. We'll figure it out together. Let's see. Specifically coming up, you can find me every other Saturday over on The Lost Caravan with Fatal Ascension, our Fabula Ultima campaign, where I play everyone's favorite automaton on the run from 3 countries at this point for regicide that we didn't do. Like, it's fine. She's just a little guy who's done nothing wrong in her life. No war crimes. Don't worry about it. It's a delightful little game. So check it out. I will be here every other Friday or more often if JD lets me be a menace. And every other Wednesday, you can catch Beacons of Farlight, a post-apocalyptic game of sorts, over on High Shelf Collective. We're using the Beacon system, and I'm playing a little elemental shapeshifter looking for answers and acceptance 300 or so years after the fall of our civilization. It's going great so far, and it's a delightful little world that we've created and that we're going to burn to the ground. If you're looking for a new system to play, keep an eye out for Cottages and Cerberuses, our little cozy cottage core meets Monster Hunter game. We just funded on Kickstarter, but you can peep all the socials and find it there. The character customization is absolutely bonkers. Spoon Theory informs a lot of the mechanics, and it's just got chill farming sim vibes. So if that seems like your deal, you can check out some actual plays over on Twitch at Chaotic Goat Productions, or you can get it for yourself when it comes out. It's been an absolute joy to work on editing it. So that's what I will be doing as soon as the cameras turn off every day of my life, editing that book. And of course, if you like magical girls, queer narratives, stories of hope amongst defeat, catch Bloom and Blight, our Girl by Moonlight actual play podcast, wherever you get your podcast. If it's not there, let me know. I'll put it there. That's a threat. For episode announcements and clips and things like that, you can find us on basically all of the socials at Bloom and Blight, spelled out, all one word. And for cast and character information, transcripts of all of our episodes, and more, go to bloomandblight.com. I believe that's all I'm allowed to talk about for now. That's a lie. Next Sunday, I'm playing Sagas over on Lost Caravan in the morning. Check that one out. That's all I can talk about right now. But peep the socials. I'm sure there will be more at a point.
Hey, Kit, real casual question.
Yeah.
When do you sleep?
Oh, I don't. Thank you for asking.
Okay, good.
That's
Yeah.
the trick, JD.
Bold of you to assume I, a vampire, sleep.
No, I wasn't sure if you were going to say that you sleep a normal amount. That was all.
Oh, yeah, I sleep a normal amount. The normal amount is 0.
A normal amount for just a little guy.
Yeah,
The
For just a little
regular
guy.
amount.
they're so small they don't need much.
Exactly. Take a power nap. It's great.
Incredible. I will be really quick for myself. There are so many things I could announce because I do so many things over with Live from the Apocalypse. 9 times out of 10, if there's a game here, I'm probably in it or running tech for it or like doing something or running the game. I am just here a lot. So yes, you can find me here at least like 2 to 3 times a week. You can also find me, just because this is an unusual thing, with Sword and Key next Thursday for a game of Sunken, which I am so excited to finally get to play. We love nautical horror. We love games where your character is going to die. I cannot wait to see what happens. So join me over there. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also find me tomorrow night with Exquisite Corpse Presents for Sister Cities, where I play a really normal guy. He just died once, and he never really got over that. So it's fine. He's doing great in our post-apocalyptic, non-magical world where we're doing D&D. That's all I'm going to announce for now. I mean, I am going to announce one thing that Steph and Kit didn't mention, because in a week and a day, we are doing an Extremis.
Yeah, we are.
That is our Lock Tomb inspired Newman game that is super feral, and just because the feral wasn't enough the first time, the creator of the game, Keegan, made special Live from the Apocalypse specific moves for everyone,
Thank you,
including
Keegan.
me.
Including the GM.
I'm not worried at
Chekhov's
all.
jawbone.
It's fine, bottom ass.
I have a teeth counter.
Hate it.
Chekhov's
Don't like it.
jawbone.
Don't like
Chekhov?
it. Mm-mm. No.
I, for one, am a massive fan of your teeth counter, JD.
I don't think sucking up is going to get you what you think it's going to get you. It's just going to get more
no,
teeth
I want
counted.
it to hurt,
Okay.
Alex. Don't get it twisted.
All right. As long as we're clear. That's how you get more teeth counted, Kit.
I will give
It's
them
true.
teeth myself. Damn it.
Teeth.
Take my teeth. Just take my teeth.
Oh, you gotta wear the teeth
I was
shirt.
about to say that. I am
Yes!
going to wear the teeth shirt
I will also
and my teeth earring.
Yay!
We can all wear teeth.
Oh my god, we can all wear like teeth or whatever.
So many teeth.
It'll be like super cute.
So yes, join us on the 29th to
teeth.
have matching sets of teeth.
It'll be great.
I'm just going to take my face off. Listen, it's been a week. It has been a week. So with that, I am going to put us on the thanks for watching screen. We are going to raid Lost
Yeah, we
Sphere. We've all
My
lost
brain
it.
is
It's fine.
physically
Just
shutting
guys.
down because of this. Just so you know.
We need to decompress, so stay with us for the raid. We will be back with Live from the Apocalypse on Sunday for Veil Breakers. That is all you need to know. Say goodnight, cast.
Good night, Cass.
Good night.